Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel today. My name is Paulina and I wanted to share a brief insight reading, and it is a synastry or synastry, however you want to pronounce it, reading for two signs, which means I'm going to be talking about how these two different signs get along. Sorry, I'm going to get my dog water also, which actually relates to the signs that I'm talking about, because I'm talking about the 6-8 vibration pattern, and this is service and rebirth. Also have 6 has to do with small animals, the 6th house, and I'm giving my dog some water. And of course, animals remind us of the life and death cycle, which can be the number 8. So this dynamic is Aries and Scorpio, and Aries is, I believe, right, 8, yeah, Aries is 6 signs away, and then Scorpio is 8 signs away. So I believe it's that Scorpio will be of service to Aries, and then Aries will learn about the life, death, birth cycle in some way, and about money, and perhaps about debt, or just death in general, perhaps about regeneration, but mainly that's what Aries will learn from Scorpio, but mainly what Aries gives to Scorpio will be related to those things. And then what Aries activates for Scorpio is the 6th house. So the 6th house is service. So there may be a relationship where, in some way, and also mental health, diet, body, job, there may be in some way where Scorpio gives a job to the Aries, or helps them with matters of mental health or diet, or just that the Aries also activates these things for the Scorpio. So I'm going to slow that down a little, just because it's a little convoluted. The 8th house is activated here with Scorpio for Aries, okay? So what they will offer and experience with Scorpio will relate to 8th house matters of sex, death, birth, and regeneration, just to be super, and money, just to be like that. And then that's what they offer and experience. And then for Scorpio, what they offer and experience with the Aries is things related to the 6th house, which are mental health. Also 6th house can be, let's see, it could also be a skill, or just like verbal, like communication, like a very verbal or mental experience, or an analytical experience is what is offered and experienced. So okay. So the Scorpio may find the Aries to be analytical, but they also may be very analytical and critical of the Aries, because that's what's being experienced. And also they may, have experiences with them that relate to health, mental health, diet, and they may just feel a deep need to serve this person in some way, or to help them, or to talk to them, okay? And also just refinement of a skill, helping them refine a skill, or helping themselves refine a skill. Okay, so, and then I guess to be more blunt, like Aries can be majorly turned on in a sexual way by Scorpio because it's activating the 8th house. We're led by the libido, as Freud says, and then also we just have like a natural inclination to reproduce, and our pheromones and hormones and stuff do that. But the 8th house, all of that baby making stuff is activated for Aries by Scorpio. Also perhaps shared finances, once they are together. Okay, so the Aries may share their money and also may get money from the Scorpio. And also, the Aries may learn about some of these 8th house feelings of jealousy. They may be jealous of the Scorpio. They may be jealous of someone else in the Scorpio's life because they like the Scorpio. Also obsession, they may have like an obsession or fixation or experience, on the Scorpio, or just experience those feelings when they're around the Scorpio about maybe other things. They pick up on that obsessive energy. It's very Scorpio. Also healing. Okay, so there's a big healing energy on both sides here because the 8th house can be about healing and regeneration. So in a lot of ways, the Scorpio causes a rebirth for the Aries. Now, Aries loves to rescue. That's why these two may come together, because Scorpio has mental health issues, okay? Scorpio is a water sign, and Scorpio is just sort of beleaguered or like plagued in their life with analysis paralysis or like obsessive tendencies, fixation, rumination, revenge stuff, because Scorpio is someone who's very sensitive, so they often may encounter the Aries in a sort of rescuing dynamic where the Aries comes in to say, hey, let me lend my helping hand. Major issue here, secrecy. Scorpio is incredibly secretive, and Aries is all out in front. So there may be behaviors or things that the Scorpio does or exhibits that the Aries doesn't understand, because they're only seeing the tip of the iceberg, because there's a lot of secrecy with Scorpios, especially Scorpio Sun and Scorpio Rising, Scorpio Moon too, but I would say mostly Sun and Rising. Very deeply secretive people in some ways. They may even keep secrets from themselves. A lot of the times it's to keep the peace, because there may be a greater family secret or some other secret that they don't even want to look at because they love other people. Usually there's Libra in the chart. Aries will usually have Pisces and Taurus in the chart in different ways. And then Scorpio will usually have Sagittarius in the chart. Why am I mentioning that? Because both of them have different approaches to life, okay? Aries is more like sort of the second house in Taurus means and wherever else they have Taurus in the chart, they have a desire for material wealth in a different way, in a concrete way, and they have immense capacity for building wealth. Scorpio does rule the 8th house, so that can mean big money with stocks, or like just the rules of stock market, or just resources, or just big money. That 8 is a huge power money number, so they can be big money people too, but it's in a different way. It's sort of like, watch me create magic and out of nothing. Aries is more looking for that stability in their life, and whereas Scorpio has their second house in Sagittarius. So just to say, the second house will be it can be our income, our home, where we live, our self-esteem, and so Scorpio will have the second house in Sagittarius. So that can be a much more like, well, just see how it goes kind of personality. And then they usually have some Sagittarius somewhere else on the chart. That can be someone who gets money from luck. Sagittarius means luck. It can also mean big, just again, big money. Sagittarius is a house of big, wherever it hits is a big thing. Jupiter. And also, you know, they can get money from speaking. Like, they're definitely orators, or from philosophizing, from higher education, from travel. But it's a mutable house, okay? So it's a mutable sign, Sagittarius. So having the second house there for Scorpio means they're more like kind of maybe a traveler, maybe like hippie type, maybe like see how it goes. Maybe they've lived a lot of places, whereas the Aries may be more cut and dry and maybe want to stick around. They have their fourth house in Cancer, and you'll find that they have the universal chart, so everything lines up. Fifth house in Leo, sixth house in Virgo, which makes them really anxious. 12th house in Pisces, which makes them very sensitive and imaginative. So there's a lot of beautiful things that can happen here in this relationship, especially at a sexual and like romantic level, because if Scorpio can eventually share some of these secrets, then there will be more of an understanding of some of the behaviors and like the mental health issues. And then you know, because that's being highlighted for Scorpio by Aries, is their mental health. And also Scorpio will help Aries with their fear of death and sort of their fears of money and fears of sex. There may be some very repressed Aries, even though it is a sign that rules sex. Okay, so they're both ruled by Mars, but you know, Scorpio is also ruled by Pluto, which is debated if it is a planet or not, but I believe it is because it meets the criteria. But anyway, so where they differ though is Pluto rules death, and so Scorpio may try to end it in multiple ways because they know how to end things, and Aries actually may have more of a hard time letting go. Also, this is a quincunx matchup here, so that means quincunx is like, I think it's 150 degrees apart, so it's inconjunct. So say you have, for me, I actually have this matchup for my sun and my ascendant, so that means that I have like kind of people don't really see my true nature because the mask I wear to the world is different. How I had to behave in my family, which can be the ascendant, is different than my like higher self kind of, so which is the sun. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go off on a tangent, but anyway, quincunx is like just completely different ways of approaching the world, which can be actually an interesting point of friction. But there's gonna have to be a lot of like sort of adjustments made for the other person. You can find your quincunx sign by looking at your opposite sign and looking to either sign on either side of that. So for me, I'm a Scorpio. My quinc signs, I'm looking at Taurus, which is opposite me. Aries is opposite Taurus, and also Gemini. Yeah, Aries is opposite Taurus and Gemini is opposite Taurus on either side. So, not opposite, on either side of. Sorry. So those are my quincunx signs. People that I have like, and I know for my sister's a Gemini. I learn, we definitely activate those things for each other. Anyway, so another thing here is that it's fire and water, feminine, masculine, and there's cardinal and fixed. Okay, so fire and water. Aries fire and energy can be, dry up and evaporate the sensitivity that is Scorpio's water and make them feel like they're nothing, okay? So that can happen. So they can be overpowering in a negative way. And then also Scorpio's sensitivity and crying and feeling and over-worrying and obsessing about every single thing and whatever, that can be like a literal wet blanket that is thrown upon the Aries fire and puts out that fire. So they have the power to sort of destroy each other. But fire and water, you know, I don't know. There's a fire water festival in Providence, which is like really cool. It's just like these like bundles of like sticks that are put on these like sculptures and put in different places on the river and set on fire, and it's really cool. I'm trying to say that they can exist in a different way. They can actually, I think they can create steam if they participate together in a possible good way. Anyway, so the feminine masculine thing, the feminine, so Aries is a masculine sign. They're like out there in the world. They're like, hello, here I am. And then Scorpio is a feminine sign. They're like, oh, I must go retreat into my room and like have deep feelings privately. The thing is, Aries has a side of them that's like that too, because they have a 12th house in Pisces, so they have a deep need for rest because they have such an excitable personality. They have a deep need for relaxation. Scorpio has Libra in the 12th house, so they have a lot of, and that's opposite Aries. So the sort of thing that might actually help the relationship is the people-pleasing tendency of Scorpio. Is that Scorpio can maybe see that Aries is like hot-headed or like impulsive or whatever, because they understand the Mars nature, which Mars rules war and just impulsivity and intense energy, sex, masculinity, assertion. Both signs are very assertive. I would say different kinds of assertion though. But so it can be hard to balance those energies where one's more like internal in their essence and one's more external. One wants to stay in, one wants to go to the bar. Okay, that can be like hard over time. Also, different sides of the equator. So Aries is a young sign. It's like, it's the first sign, it's an infant. So it's learning about everything. It's learning about its feelings. So maybe some feelings of superiority that the Scorpio has, that they literally just have been through more past lives. But then also the Aries offers this really exuberant, sort of joyful nature to the Scorpio, who may be kind of like, at a certain point, Scorpios can get sort of like bitter or like detached, because they've been through so much trauma and turmoil in their lives. They rule crisis. The sign rules crisis. Anyway, so that can be really nice that Aries is like, hey, life is great, and has this sort of vibrant energy. Okay, but then so Scorpio's fixed. So they want it their way. It's kind of their way or the highway. And they're very persnickety, and they may be the kind of people who go to restaurants and want it a certain way, and like won't go to this restaurant because they don't like that plate, or they don't like the chemicals in the plate. I don't know. I'm a Scorpio, so I know all about it. Trust me. It's like a whole thing. They may be sort of dictatorial in their sensitivity, actually. And then Aries actually is a leader because it's a cardinal sign. Aries is like, we're going this way, who's following me? And Scorpio's like, well, I don't know if we should go that way. Do we have sunscreen? Like, do you have a map? Like, how do you know? But Aries is ruled by this like intuitive knowing, this sort of direct channeling. That's Linda Goodman, my favorite astrologer, was an Aries. And they're also great writers. She was a great writer. And she, was a very direct channel of energy. And Scorpio is a much more subtle director and channel of energy. Scorpio may be able to like talk to dead people and be mediumistic, or be sensitive to or empathetic to people in our society who are disadvantaged, or have that deep deep sensitivity and depth. And Aries has a boldness and assertion to them that can help them manage that depth. So I'm going to try to do a part 2 to this that goes a little bit more in depth, but that is an issue that Aries says, follow me. Scorpio says, I don't know if I have the strength. I don't know if I want to leave where I am. And I don't know if I trust a hand reaching out to save me, to help me, which is a huge archetype for the Aries, is this warrior savior. So anyway, please stand by for part 2, and thanks for tuning in.